What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're gonna go over Black Ops 7 multiplayer gameplay, and early showcasing of it, what we've seen so far, and a breakdown. And then there's also some brand new news that we got today in regards to BO7, so I got you guys covered. If you do find the video informative or helpful, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So this week we were expecting Black Ops 7 marketing for zombies. They did initially say in the COD pod that in early September, so this week, would be a reveal for Black Ops 7 zombies, and the day passed, we didn't get anything like they said we would. And so Margo Network posted this, and he said, official, Treyarch cut out the part in the COD pod where they talked about the week of zombies. As a reminder, COD pod was filmed live during Gamescom, and the official re-upload at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Treyarch said we've got a teeny tiny little taste of what's to come to zombies and Black Ops 7 before cutting and talking about the original crew. In the Gamescom version, Treyarch says that we got a teeny tiny little taste of what is coming to zombies and Black Ops 7 because the dedicated zombies reveal is just a few weeks away, and we can't give you a look. There's a lot to give and it needs its own week. The re-upload was 1 week after the Gamescom version, and then they completely cut that out, and people didn't notice until more recently when they went back and looked at it. Now the question is, are they not going to reveal zombies this week at all, and why? Is there something really bad about zombies that they're scared of negative feedback? Right now, I'm not going to lie, BO7 marketing has been pretty bad. I mean, the way that they've rolled things out, and it's just sort of been a mess overall, and I feel like maybe they want to get zombies just right before they do the full reveal, but we'll talk about that a little later. Now, instead, Treyarch actually posted something different. In the spirit of addressing some recent feedback, we're making a few visual changes to some of the Vault Edition operators. Starting with our favorite post-apocalyptic bus driver, we think it's pretty face-melting. So this is a new clip of them showing Ted. This was originally the Vault Edition operator that you're able to unlock. Well, let me just show you guys a before photo just so you can get an idea and remember what he looks like. So he had like that realistic mannequin face, and there's a couple of other things on him that they decided to fully change. This time they made him more of a realistic version of the original Ted, so they kept that same metal chromy, metallic face, the glowing eyes, exactly the same. There was also like the different wonder weapons that they decided to use as his body parts. So his arm is a ray gun, in the back he has the thunder gun, and then there's also the wave gun being showcased as well. So it's just like a couple of different things being shown in his body, and they reworked this entire thing to make him look like a much better version of Ted. Now, a couple of replies said, for example, Nero Cinema said, pre-orders are down so bad you're revamping skins to get more sales. I will say it looks better, but you're ignoring the elephant in the room. Overall, many people were saying, although it does look better, this is not the big issue or the big problem that BO7 has that they should be working and addressing. Anyways, one other thing that I also paid attention to is the actual animation, the walking. I believe that this is an early look at the main menu. So this is like the pre-game lobby when you're maybe looking or loading into a match, and it just seems like in-game engine and footage that they're showcasing here. So maybe it's like an area where you can pre-select the operator and check out what they look like, or while you're waiting for the lobby to start, it'll show you. Maybe there'll be a couple of other squads depending on how many people are in the lobby. They'll also pop up here, but just from what it looks like, I also slapped on this main menu concept just to get a visual representation of what it could potentially look like when you load into Black Ops 7. Now, speaking of the game, let's talk about multiplayer and the early gameplay footage that we have. Now, the first thing that they showcase is in-game weapon inspects. It looks like that is obviously a feature that's been in more recent Call of Duty titles, and it's here to stay. You're able to inspect and get a look at all the different weapon types, and these are just the clips that they did showcase throughout that. Usually when you do an inspect in-game, it does automatically take the HUD and all of that stuff off. So this is definitely in-game footage that you're seeing here and what you'll be able to do yourself, showcasing the ARs, the sniper rifles, even a launcher in this case. So that's the first thing, and it doesn't really show too much other than the weapons. You can also see the new maps in the background just to get an idea, and then the graphic quality, which in my opinion, a couple of things to note from this, it looks a lot more colorful and contrast, and personally I think the graphic quality has been improved and it just looks a lot better. So those are the things that I noticed, but those are the weapon inspects. Now, other than that, there's also a couple of other things that you'll notice. So for example, things like the score streaks being showcased. They also mention overclocks. So for example, like different equipment that you're able to place. We have this thing which looks to be a laser that you put down, and I don't know if it's dealing damage or if it's just marking enemies, but it looks like it's just pointing the laser straight at them. There's also things like concussions that you throw. It's also showing the explosive effects and what that looks like in Black Ops 7. And then these maps are also in multiplayer, so this is multiplayer footage. Then there's also the dog score streak on top of it. It looks like a trophy system is placed, so you're not able to throw grenades or anything at it and destroy it. And then they also showcase the version of a score streak being used here, which it reminds me of that hunter-killer drone, but at the same time, you're able to control it. Now, when you take a look here at the split second, first off, there's a manual mode, so you have manual mode on and off. If you want to control it, you can. If you don't want to, I guess it'll just go straight or maybe target an enemy straight up. And then when they throw it, you'll see that you're now able to control it. This is what the HUD looks like. So you have the steer, you have detonate, and then you also have the speed boost. You'll also notice that it showcases the, teammates' nameplates and things like that. So once again, that's a thing that is going to be available. So you have the enemy, their name is red, there's also like the target, and then on the right side there's also the teammate, and this guy's name aspect capture, so it showcases that. It goes in, and then you have the enemy being eliminated, and then after that they go on to showcase the wall jumping in one of the maps. So this is what it looks like in game when you wall jump, pretty much hitting the wall and then bouncing off, and it looks like you go a little bit higher. They also showcase someone actually playing multiplayer and trying it out for themselves, maybe in like custom game or something along those lines, and then it's in one of the maps. Now then they go on to showcase another POV, just a clip of the game without the HUD still, but just people getting eliminated. So what it looks like when you eliminate a player, how their body falls back, and the bullets and what that looks like. So the movement as well, so they're sliding. There's also the tack stance, which it looks like they're showcasing here, because apparently they did take out sliding and aiming. You'll need a perk in order to activate that now. So instead, if you don't use that perk and you slide and aim, it'll put you in tack stance, and that's what they're showcasing here. And then also yet again that cabin map that we have, which is in Alaska, and then also someone using omni movement diving in. Now where we get a good look at the actual gameplay footage is when they dive in and talk about the UI and the HUD. Now, the first time you watch the clip, you see that they still have that same similar sort of crosshair. So this time they have like the center dot. That's pretty standard stuff that you could put on in the settings. And it looks a little tinier than usual. I think the smallest size was maybe a little bit larger than this in BO6 if I'm not mistaken. And then you see the actual map in the top left. You can obviously place this where you want with the newer settings that they have, but this is what it looks like in the default version in which they're showcasing here. So it looks like the standard barrier being red, glowing, and it looks very simplistic and straightforward, which is something that is appreciated when it comes to these types of things. And then you also have the score. It tells you if you're winning or losing. It's 5-0. That's what that looks like. And then the bottom, it says 100%. It looks like this is maybe the health bar. So a little more futuristic, different from what we're seeing with Black Ops 6. And I feel like the HUD is what really makes the game different and unique from what we've seen with Black Ops 6. And then over on the right side, you also see the same sort of line. So you have these score streaks. I don't know exactly what those are. I mean, potentially one is like a UAV. The other one could be that recon drone thing that we talked about. And then we have the dog, which is at 475. And then it also lets you know when you're ready to use them. So they turn orange. And then when you take a look at the bottom right, it also showcases the weapon stats. Once again, this is a unique HUD. We haven't seen something like this yet, and this is what makes it different from BO6. So you have the Peacekeeper, showcases the ammo that you currently have in your mag. At the bottom shows the total. Then it also shows your lethals and tacticals, and then your field upgrade over on the right side. In terms of when eliminating a player, it looks like the text for the score is going to be yellow, so they're going to continue with that. And then there's also the medals. These look different. They also did blur out a couple of them, so those are probably new medal types that you're able to get. So after the headshot, they got a form of a medal. Not entirely sure what that could be. A little bit more footage on how customizable the HUD is, so you'll see it here from this couple seconds of footage. The dev decided to test out putting the score streaks right in the center of the screen, so you're able to move them. If you don't like them on the right side, you go ahead and move them all the way to the left and then take a look at them there. Very customizable, as we've seen with Black Ops 6. And then we have another clip being showcased here within the interior of this map. So you'll notice again, the map HUD on the left side, it showcases when you're inside. So it's like a very light grayish color when you enter a building, so you know like you're inside someplace. And then there's also the barrier that lets you know that's out of map. And then also once again showcasing the headshot medal, what it looks like when you first get the score. 4, so it's yellow text and then it turns white. And then it also showcases the weapon in the bottom right. That is the Echo 12 that they're now using. Also the lethals and tacticals. There's also the trophy system field upgrade. It looks like their UAV is now ready and they can call it in. And then once again, it continues on. The kill feed is blurred out, but it looks very standard to regular Call of Duties that we have. And then going on, they do showcase some footage of what it looks like when you call in score streak. So for example, when you call in the Vito warship, this is the actual animation that you get in multiplayer. After that, it showcases the speed in the center. Then at the top, it gives you, your coordinates and all of that stuff. It gives you the fuel, so how long you have left in the score streak. The Vito warship, I guess, health bar, so the damage is different from the fuel. And then you have the auto lock missiles, how many missiles you're able to use during that time. At the bottom, you can fire regular, or fire the missiles. Then you have the exit button. And it looks obviously a lot more simplistic than what we're seeing with like Black Ops 6 and with other Call of Duty titles, and they're leaning more in like a simplistic white text from what it's looking like here with the score streaks and the design that they're using in terms of the HUD. And then the last section of the clips that they showcased here. So this is in multiplayer, not showcasing the HUD here. This is before they talked about the HUD section. You'll see the wall jumping feature. They also threw an EMP grenade so that you get an idea of what it looks like in a multiplayer match. And then also they showcase that you can grab and hold people hostage, very similar to how it is in BO6. So in this case, you're holding someone hostage and using them as a body shield. We also get footage of Raid and what that looks like in the new version. So you can see here, once again, the colors, they're bright, contrast is there. The map looks very simplistic, so it doesn't have too much going on, no clutter or anything like that. And then meanwhile, you have this entire fight going down in the center of the location. So seeing the sliding, the ADSing, and all of that, and what it looks like in plays in BO7. And then the last thing I also noticed is it looks like there's some sort of a gas or a feature that you're able to use that works sort of like the sleeper agent. So I'm thinking this has to do or comes in from the campaign, but this is multiplayer footage they're showcasing, to where this red smoke goes up, and as soon as it activates and it hits your player, what it does is it changes the way that the players look. So your teammates just flip and turn into enemies, and then the enemies flip and turn into allies. So now you're like confused on who to shoot and who to eliminate and try to kill. And then after the elimination, you can see that the bodies change back to normal as they fall down, which is something exclusive Ace noticed, so credit to him for that. And that's one of the features or one of the equipments that it seems like you're going to be able to use in Black Ops 7. And then the last thing we get a showcasing of is Skirmish, which is a 20v20 multiplayer mode. Think of it something like a big map mode, and that brings in maps from Avalon and it turns them into like a big objective based type of game where you're able to fly, use wingsuits. There's also vehicles you're able to drive to get around even faster. And then they showcase the footage of just everything going down, how hectic it gets, them using field upgrades and abilities and things like that are available. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and this is just the footage of that. They don't showcase the HUD or anything in terms of more details, but you get a look at some of the weapons, at what some of the features look like. For example, someone was invisible using the Peacekeeper, and then they also eliminated some players that were flying in. So that's what the footage on the map looks like. But what are your thoughts on the BO7 multiplayer footage that we have so far? Do you think that this game is worth the cop, and are you getting it? Have you pre-ordered it yourself? But that's all they got for you guys in this video. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys back on the channel again. Peace.